Hey, welcome to your first math lesson. If you're here and you haven't yet watched the video of classroom overview and read through kind of the classroom overview slides, then you should go and do that so you have an idea of what this class is going to look like moving forward. I realize I look like a zebra right now. Those are my blinds, so ignore it. But here, if you meant to go to our first math lesson, you're in the right spot. This is that math lesson. So welcome. Today we are going to be talking about order of operations. And you'll notice two things on your screen right now. One, you have a video of me. And two, you have a video of a piece of paper. And this piece of paper is right next to me. That's my hand right there. And my iPhone is set up videotaping it. I thought this would give us the most realistic version of a classroom. And as I give this lesson, two things are going to be happening. One, I expect you to be copying down what I have written on the paper. And this is for two reasons. One, it will allow you to look back in your notes without necessarily watching the entire video. But more importantly, there's a really strong connection between writing and memory. And this has been really well documented. It's why often college kids will still take notes with pen and paper and not on their computers because it's better for your memory to be writing. The second thing that's going to be happening as you are copying down and listening to this video, it's going to pause every now and then, and there'll be questions. And you need to answer those questions on your screen. This way, I know that you're not just playing this video in the background. You're not just letting it come in one ear and out the other. You're actually thinking about what's going on. The best videos will actually have you get a little confused, have some questions, and then break through that confusion. If it's obvious the whole time, we're actually probably not learning anything. So make sure you're answering those questions, and I actually can see those questions. Sorry about that. I can actually see those questions, and those will help me make better videos in the future. Okay, so today in our first lesson, we are thinking about the order of operations. Okay. And you'll notice this is going to actually be a review lesson. This was what we did like a week before we got out of school. And we're doing this because we're just building that pattern back of how to learn. We're remembering how order of operations works. And then we'll start taking steps forward after we do a little bit of review. Okay, so order of operations is we're thinking about our different operations. And we have 5 primary operations. We have addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and we have that one we just learned, or some of us just learned, which was exponents. Okay, and you might wonder why there's nothing under the exponents. It's because we kind of know that addition and subtraction are related to each other in the same way we know that multiplication and division, they're kind of opposites. There is an opposite of exponents. It's called logs. We're not really going to learn about it right now because we got to figure out exponents first, get really good at exponents, and then we'll figure out how to go backwards. Okay, so we're going to look at how these operations work with the same numbers. I'm trying to get this straight right now. It's annoying me that it's crooked. Okay, so we're just going to look at the numbers 5 and 2. So 5 plus 2, 5 times 2, and 5 to the power of 2, which is our exponent, okay? 5 plus 2 gives us 7, right? And we can actually draw that out with 5 blocks and 2 blocks. And that gives us 7 blocks, okay? And then we have 5 times 2, which we can draw out as one set of 5 blocks. And then because multiply means you have another whole set, we add another whole set of 5. Oh. Okay. lastly, we have 5 to the power of 2. What 5 to the power of 2 is that we have 5 sets of 5. So 1, 5. This is often represented as a square. We often actually call this 5 squared. 5 to the power of 2 is 5 sets of 5, which gives us 5 squared, and 25. And you'll notice that with these operations, we use the same exact numbers, but we got different answers. This actually shows how powerful the operation is. We have our most powerful, and we have our least powerful. And there's actually operations that are more powerful than an exponent that we haven't learned yet. And we will learn, and you might learn about those in the future. They're cool. They got a little exclamation point on them. And they allow you to do some cool math. Okay. And knowing what operations are most powerful and what operations are least powerful is important, because when we do a large math problem that might look something like this, 2 open parentheses 5 minus 1 plus 3 times 4 to the power of 2, right? That's a big, long math problem. And if we type this right into our calculator, we'd actually probably get the wrong answer. And that's because our calculator cares more about how the order that we are pressing the buttons than it cares about what the function in the buttons actually are. I'm not saying don't use a calculator. I'm just saying use it as a tool to help you do math. Don't let it do the math for you. Like your brain should be doing most of the organization, and then you use the calculator when you're like, I don't want to do that multiplication problem. So I'm going to pause right now for a second because make sure everyone's caught up. But in the future, I think you know that this is a video and you can pause it whenever you want and keep moving forward when you need to, okay? You notice my mug has a little face on it. Isn't he adorable? Okay, so the next step that we're going to do here is we're going to solve this long math problem. And to solve a long math problem like this, we're actually going to organize our page. And it's a lot of math moving forward, and I'm not talking about like in 3 years, I'm literally talking about like next week. Math is much more about seeing those flows and those patterns. We've actually in this year been discovering how math works by seeing those patterns. But to see those patterns, you have to organize your paper. And usually in class, I would help you organize your paper by printing you out those work pages and having you fill it out in certain organizations. But because I can't print you out a work page, I'm going to have you drawing out these organizational tools. I get that like you are your own person, and as you start realizing how I'm organizing it, if you want to take some of these tools away, but I don't want you to take them away and then go willy-nilly all over your paper. Like you need to be organizing it in a way that leads your thinking, shows you the flow of the math. Okay, so the way I'm going to organize it is I like to kind of draw this one line, and then I'm going to write these letters. And some of you might recognize these letters, but they come from what we kind of talked about before. This is PEMDAS. PEMDAS is a shortcut people use to remember the order of operations when they can't remember most powerful to least powerful. And so it's exponents. These letters each stand for an operation. Multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. And this P at the beginning stands for parentheses. And parentheses is a man-made thing, which is whenever you don't want to follow this least powerful to most powerful. Math automatically follows the least powerful to most powerful unless you tell it to do otherwise. And that's the parentheses. The parentheses force the math to go a different way. And they're the ones that look like the little curves. Okay, so as we do the math, I'm also going to have us draw it out. So I'm kind of separating my paper. I'm going to have my math section, I'm going to have my drawing section, and then I'm going to have the section that reminds me what to do. Okay, so we're going to start with our parentheses. We're looking at this 5 minus 2. Okay, and I'm going to pull that down. And 5 minus 2, or 5 minus 1, sorry about that, is 4. I'm going to draw this over here. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I'm minusing 1. And I'm going to have you do this because as we start working with more and more complicated problems, especially when we start introducing variables into this, oh, that's a text message from Miss Erling. Especially as we introduce variables into this, we are going to want to be able to see it. And in real life, I have these cool tiles. Like if we were in class right now, I'd have you be using cool tiles instead of drawing, but we don't. So I'm going to have other things that we can manipulate, but right now we're just going to draw it out. Okay. The rest of this math problem, we can just copy down, right? I kept those parentheses there so that I know that this is a multiplication problem. This doesn't turn into 24. This turns into 2 times 4. But you could write that out in a different way. Okay, and next we're looking for our exponents, which I forgot to write that squared in. And so I'm going to pull my exponent down, and I'm going to think about this over here, which is 4 squared, which is kind of a square. It's 4 by 4. Which gives us 16. And I'm going to copy the rest of it down. Okay. And I'm even going to copy down the rest of this, but I'm going to ignore that little one I X'd out because it doesn't matter anymore. Okay. Helps you to separate these, do so. Okay, so now we're looking for our multiplication. We actually have 2 multiplication problems in here. We have this multiplication problem, and we have this multiplication problem. We can actually do both of them at the same time. So we have our 2 times 4. So we have our set of 4 blocks. We're making a second set of 4 blocks over here, which gives us 8. And then we have this big square, and that is our 16, right? And we're multiplying it by 3. So we got to go 3 of those. Okay. So that's 8. And then what this other one that got pulled down, 3 times 16. Ooh, this might be actually where I have a calculator pulled out. So let's see. That equals 48. And I wrote that 48 right down there. And if I had been a really beautiful artist, I could have counted out those squares. But I still draw it to remind me of what the math is. Okay, and I have one last set of math. I'm looking for my addition and my subtraction problems. So I have this right here. And this 8 plus 48 should give us 56. If you needed to type that into a calculator, it's not a big deal. And we could draw it out, but actually we already have 56 squares because addition is just we take our 2 groups and we squish them together. So I'm not going to make you draw out the addition problem. Okay? So This gives us a number. And what does that number even mean? Cool, we got this number. As mathematicians, when we get an answer, we need to make sure we actually know what we figured out. So I'm going to have us draw one more line. And to explain what we just figured out. So what we just figured out is that this long problem, 2 times 5 minus 1 plus 3 times 4 squared, this equals or is equivalent to 56. This whole thing, this really long set of numbers, I don't have to write. I could just write the number 56. That's what we just figured out using order of operations. Okay? Thank you for staying for this whole lesson. I think this video is a little long. I'm going to try to keep them around 10 to 15 minutes of lesson time. And then you will have a 10 to 15 minute math worksheet that you should be doing at home. And when you're done with that, you are going to take a picture of it and you're going to upload it to Google Classroom. Okay? If you need any reminders, you can go back and watch this video. I'll also post some other videos that aren't me talking, just me doing these math problems, just so you can see some different processes and how this works out different ways. So click into those if you're getting confused. And lastly, please feel free to text me, call me, or sign up for one of the office hours that are going to be happening on Monday and Wednesday to kind of get some help. Okay? For instructions on how to do all those things, make sure you're checking in with the class overview video and PowerPoint. And if you've done all that, good luck. Stay happy and healthy, and don't drive your parents too crazy. See you later.